guys, welcome to my Ocean One and Then Some channel. It's been a while since I did a video. I've actually been on vacation, and then I recently purchased a Jeep Liberty that I've been restoring, so I've been doing quite a bit of work on it. And I had a friend send me this article, and I figured I better do a video on it because it's a lot to unpack, and really there's nothing good in the video in the sense that Fisker has done something amazing here. I will put the article in the comment section, so it will be tagged, so if anybody wants to read it. I might skip just a little bit, but it's going to be hard to skip most of this because it's actually a pretty well written article, even though I hate to admit that. It's got quite a bit in it, and the title simply says, Fisker asked bankruptcy court to sell its EVs at an average of $14,000 each. Wish I'd have got mine for that, because I paid $69,000 for mine, plus, you know, shipping, sales tax, whatnot, delivery fee, and that came out to be about $77,500. All right, let's jump right into this article here. I'm just going to look down and read, because I think that's why some of you tune in. I'll provide my thoughts as I read it. Fisker has a willing buyer for its remaining inventory of its all-electric Ocean SUV and has asked the Delaware bankruptcy court judge overseeing his Chapter 11 case to approve the sale. If approved by the judge, Fisker would be able to offload 3,231 finished EVs to a New York-based vehicle leasing company for $46.25 million. That works out to around $14,000 per vehicle. I'm going to skip some of that. It's just talking about previous prices. The motion requesting approval of the sale could become the next flashpoint in Fisker's Chapter 11 bankruptcy proceedings. Lawyers representing the company unsecured lenders already expressed concern in the first hearing held on June the 21st that they would not see the proceeds of such sale. Fisker owes around $1 billion in total of all its unsecured creditors. The total scope of Fisker's other assets and what value they might hold is not clear. On Monday, lawyers for the startup filed a motion to delay the release of that information, in part because it's still being compiled. The leasing company, which the Wall Street Journal first reported to be a company called American Lease, mainly offers the vehicles to ride-hail drivers in the New York City area, where fleets need to be zero emission by 2030. The company has agreed to wait to lease any of the Oceans until all the open recalls are addressed. I hope the rest of us get all of those addressed, right? American Lease initially agreed to buy 2,100 Oceans. That was on May the 30th. I'm going to skip a little bit here. American Lease cannot resell the vehicles for 12 months. It's technically buying the Oceans on a sliding scale, paying $3,200 for previously titled vehicles and $16,500 for ones in good working order. It's also buying damaged ones for $2,500 each. Wow. Lawyers for the company are trying to move the sale quickly in a motion requesting expedited approval of the sale. They wrote that they will be unable to fund vital business expenses necessary to effectuate an orderly liquidation if it's not completed by July the 12th. Doesn't sound good, does it? Lawyers for Fisker said in an emergency hearing Wednesday that they want to sell an initial 200 Oceans to the American Lease by July the 12th in order to generate $2.8 million to cover payroll and other expenses. Before it does that, though, it will have to resolve a newly reported problem with the water pumps on the Ocean. Well, that's news to me because I didn't know anything about that. That will be handled by some of the remaining Fisker employees, as the startup still has 179 employees, the majority being salaried, but it's reducing the headcount to around 138. I'm skipping just a tiny bit here. Linda Richendorfer, a lawyer for the U.S. Trustee's office, said during the hearing that she was concerned at how fast Fisker's lawyers were trying to push through the sale of the vehicles. Given that the Committee of Unsecured Creditors still don't have legal representation, Her concerns were echoed by a lawyer representing the newly formed Fisker Owners Association and one representing U.S. Bank, which is owed more than $600 million. She also said Fisker had given the impression that it would be weeks before they tried to approve a sale order, something that one of the startup's lawyers pushed back on. During the hearing, Richendorfer, I might be destroying that name, Grill Donato, his name's tough, on whether Fisker could make its upcoming payroll payments with whatever cash it had on hand. Both he and a lawyer for Fisker said that won't be possible. But they struggled to clearly explain to Richendorfer and to the court the exact amount and cadence of the startup's obligations over the next few weeks. Mercy. I'm thoroughly confused, Judge Thomas Horan said after Donato stepped off the witness stand. Wow. He permitted a 30-minute recess for the two sides to get a better understanding. When court resumed, and he asked whether the time was useful, Richendorfer said bluntly, no. A new hearing has been set for July the 11th. In the coming week, it will be up to Fisker and the restructuring officer to better explain to Richendorfer and the many unsecured creditors why they need to push the sale through so quickly. Once a sale is complete, Fisker will have no obligation of repair or maintenance of the vehicles. The vehicles will be sold as is with no express or implied warranties. According to the agreement, Fisker will also have no obligation to update the vehicles beyond the 2.1 versions of its software. So sad. Fisker will also give American lease license to access, I guess that's good news, all relevant source code or other proprietary software operating elements. So I guess that's good news. The inventory sale has been blessed by Fisker's largest secured creditor, Heights Capital. On a side note here, Fisker pretty much allowed that company to destroy the company, but Fisker did itself no favors leading up to that. I just want to throw that in there. That's my 2 cents. I'm going to skip that. Heights loaned Fisker more than $500 million in 2023, and the EV startup still owes nearly $190 million. A lawyer representing Heights' investment arm said that the June 21st hearing and the sale would maybe pay off a fraction of the secured debt. Now we have a clearer picture of the math he was running in his head. Heights loans to Fisker were originally not secured by any collateral. They were convertible notes that could either be paid back or swapped in stock for the EV startup. But when Fisker was late in filing his third quarter financial report to Securities and Exchange Commissions last year, that technically breached one of the covenants of the deals with Heights. To repair that breach, Fisker pledged all of its assets as collateral for the remaining debt. I have no words for that. Alex Lees, a lawyer who represented an informal group of the unsecured lenders, said at the first hearing that was a terrible deal for Fisker and its creditors. Duh. Lees and Richendorfer expressed great concern that the case could transition to a more straightforward Chapter 7 liquidation following the sale of the Ocean inventory. And if you remember, I think the last video that I did, I said we're in Chapter 11 and I think we're heading straight for Chapter 7. Anyway, the last sentence here says, in that scenario, unsecured creditors could wind up fighting over even less. That's the article. I will put the article in the comment section. I will pin it so anybody can go to that and read anything that I left out, which I actually didn't leave out much. There's just not much to say here, guys. The best thing that you can hope for right now is that you don't have a problem with your Ocean. Really, that's about it. You know, well, we have decided to simply drive the daylights out of ours. It's become, well, when we got it, it was our primary vehicle. But I was splitting the vehicles up. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I was splitting up the miles between our Mazda CX-9 and the Ocean because, you know, at the time I was thinking very differently, you know. But now we don't really do that. just got back from vacation. We drove down to Gatlinburg and stayed in a cabin down there and had a great time, the whole family. And, we took the ocean. We're going to take it everywhere and hope that, we don't have a problem, because if we do have a problem, the question really becomes, where do we even get it towed? Do we tow it to the house? My house, of course. Is there any point even trying to tow it to a Fisker center that still exists? It's a bunch of big question marks, man. So if it does die on us and we can't repair it, most likely ourselves, we're probably just screwed. It becomes a nice little yard ornament or a collector's piece, or we could part it out to somebody for parts or something. Now I'm hoping I get a lot of life left out of it, but all it's going to take is one simple little problem or one complicated problem to for me, for any of us, for our oceans to be pretty much a brick. Anyway, I got nothing good here, guys. This has just been a downhill slide. And my personal opinion is Henrik and Gita should be ashamed. It's very clear now, looking back, that they were simply over their heads. I mean, this was out of their leagues, and how to do this, how to handle situations, and it's just such a shame. But it is what it is, and the Ocean is a great ride. I do enjoy driving it. It's still the best car that I've ever had. I just wish, that I knew that I could get it serviced if something does go wrong with it. All right, guys, this is the article. Thanks a lot for joining in, and until next time.